A long time ago, there was a powerful king. He owns everything in the world. But he was never able to gain true trust. Everyone around him may covet his throne. This made him feel uneasy all day long. So the king decided to explore the nature of trust. Find a way to gain trust. He announced to the world who would offer the most trustworthy thing in the kingdom. It will surely be rewarded. The first person to arrive at the palace was a teacher. He brought a textbook. We can't predict the future, but knowledge of mathematics, chemistry, and history is always reliable. Then a farmer offered his plow. I know every part of it like the back of my hand. Know how it works. Completely reliable. The king asked the wise men if the teacher's claims were credible. But when wise men turn to books, but keep discovering new fallacies. After all, this is a book written by mortals. The king let the peasants work on the fertile soil near the palace. But farmers are not used to such fertile land. His trusty plow was always deep in the soil. The king was greatly disappointed. So the king passed the edict even further. A merchant brought a dying beggar. I met him on the road. Give him food, shelter, and care. He has no relatives and no reason. Days are numbered. I will meet all his needs. He had absolutely no reason to betray me. This is true trust. Finally, a mother came with her daughter. I raised this child with my heart. He has always been right in his words and deeds. As long as it is not contaminated by the outside world, he will always be the most reliable person in the kingdom. The king asked the beggar, why have you come to this? The beggar sighed and told of his misery when his crops failed. Neighbors watched from the sidelines as their son was killed by robbers. The wife died of an illness while working. It seems that you have suffered a lot of injustice. Exactly. Then I will avenge you. As long as you are willing to slander this business person. The beggar agreed without hesitation. Trust that is easily established is often the easiest to break. The king asked the mother again, how did you raise such a well-behaved daughter? Has she never made a mistake? Well, once or twice, but I disciplined them very strictly. He quickly corrected himself. The king, who was well aware of the childlike nature, ordered that no one should discipline the girl for a month, and it worked. That 1 month later, he became as stubborn as the other 4 children. The king was still not satisfied. Therefore, we once again solicited the most trustworthy items from across the country. This time, the subjects made a surprise move. An economist presented a statistical table. Individuals can be unpredictable, but there is always a pattern to the overall behavior. This is trustworthy. A philosopher brought a mirror. Your Majesty, according to your standards, only you can truly trust yourself. Nothing in the world can compare. The king examines the economist's data. 15 years ago, the trend here suddenly changed. Why do economists go to great lengths to try to explain? The king interrupted him. The explanation was an afterthought. Was it foreseeable? Well, after the fact. Your Majesty. The king sneered. If you can predict when the next trend will change, I will reward you. If you guess wrong, you will be severely punished. Do you dare to try? Do you dare to try? Economists rummaged through the classics and couldn't find the answer. That night, he left the palace in despair. As for the philosopher, the king ordered him to be flogged. Philosophers protested against his majesty's injustice and tyranny. It will only damage the loyalty of your subjects to you. The king sighed lightly, but your words make sense. But the order came from the only credible person in the country. Since you yourself said I shouldn't trust others, then why should I doubt my own judgment? The philosopher was speechless. He had to beg for mercy. The king was still not satisfied. Ultimately, he decided that there was nothing to believe in the world. Then make one with your own hands. He assembled the best craftsmen, build puppets from the strongest materials, no matter the cost. No matter the cost, and ordered the most learned scholars to write all their wisdom into scrolls, gives life to the puppet. The project took years to complete. The puppet stands tall, taller than the average person. The smooth surface glowed coldly in the candlelight. His face was empty. The king asked the puppet, what can you do for me? The puppet answered many questions. Your Majesty, logging, carrying water, baking, winemaking, carving, teaching, children, you just order. What I will execute. Therefore, the king began to issue orders. And so, a year went by. The king and many of his subjects kept an eye on the puppet's every move. Record his every mistake. Continuous improvement. A few months later, people could no longer find the slightest mistake in him, but the king still had doubts. Is this puppet really worthy of complete trust? To verify, he resorted to more means. He promised the puppet freedom, fame, and wealth as temptations. But the puppet was unmoved. He allowed the puppet to move freely. Allow him to do what he wants. But according to the servant's report, his behavior has always been impeccable. Finally, the king sent him all over the city, assume various important positions. This tireless puppet is diligent. It has created amazing wealth for the kingdom. Over time, his abilities grew day by day. Countless scholars engraved more and more detailed words into his head, attempt to accommodate more knowledge and experience. He began to be able to converse with the king's scholars, assist them in completing their work. Gradually, the king began to appoint him to assist officials in carrying out decrees. Whenever you encounter a difficult problem, this puppet always comes up with ingenious solutions. Since the king's will was carried out perfectly, it also avoids the public resentment that the execution of the king's order often triggers. One day, the king heard that the puppet had once again diffused his crisis. He suddenly realized that this puppet had become more intelligent and capable than himself. He called the puppet to the imperial garden. Let's get straight to the point. Ministers, they all ask you for advice. They place their trust in you, even more than their own judgment. I have also seen your attainments in strategy. If one day you want to plot against me, I'm afraid I can't detect it at all. More powerless to stop. So I'm going to ask you, how much trust can I place in you? Dare to let you become the right-hand man of the king? Your majesty is clear. I was created, sculpted, and taught to be trustworthy, although there are mistakes, but never had a second heart. But those seemingly loyal ministers, they are secretly calculating how to empty the kingship. How can I be sure that you will always obey? It's very simple. The puppet takes a step forward. You can order me into that burning building now. I will be reduced to ashes, but you will witness with your own eyes my loyalty to orders until death. But building you took years of hard work and a lot of money in the treasury. You know, I can't bear it. Perhaps you have already calculated that I will take back my life at the last moment. This way, you can both earn trust without having to sacrifice. If I really have a different heart, this is indeed a trick. The puppet's eyes flashed slightly. Unfortunately, my core instructions do not allow such calculations. But who can prove it? Even the most learned scholars cannot penetrate your structure. After all, it was a masterpiece that gathered the efforts of countless people. So, in the end, this ultimately requires a big gamble. As the twilight darkens, the king slowly took off his crown. The heavyweight pressed the palms red. The mannequin stands still like a sculpture. The mottled sunset light flowed on the metal shell. So, they stood there, until the sunset melts into the last line of Phnom Penh. The night swallowed up all the temptations and suspicions.